Morning crafters, welcome to another segment of KISS, Keep It Simple Sylvia. This is the month of August and all month long we're working with wire, different types of wire. Today we're going to write with wire. It's so easy to do. I recommend that you get a thinner wire like this 24 gauge or maybe even a 22. If you use a 20 gauge like we have been using, it you can bend it with your fingers, but it really does require some kind of tool to help make the bends and folds that much more crisp. So I'm going to show you working with 20 gauge, and if you get down to 18, which is a much thicker gauge wire, it really is necessary that you have some tools to work with because it can be pretty hard on your hands to bend. So I'm going to start out with a 24 gauge because like I said, this is the easiest, and we're just going to just write with it. That's all you have to do. You can you can cut off some of the wire if you want, or you can just use it as it is, and when you get down to the end, tear it off. So one of the most common words that we use in scrapbooking is the word love. So I'm just going to take this wire and bend it over and make it into what looks like a writing L. And then I'm going to use my finger and I'm going to wrap it around for the letter O. And you see that? Now we got an LO. And then I'm going to take my thumbnail and push it up so I get a distinct look to a V. And I'm going to push it back down with another nail and then curve it back up. Now we're starting to spell the word love. And we're going to fix this so it's more tight when we get down to the end, okay? So now we got the V, and coming off the top of a V, we'll have the letter E. Okay, now I've just spelled the word love. I'm going to cut the wire. You saw how easy that was to do just using your fingers. Now if you want, you can tighten this up. You can do all sorts of things to it. You can push the letter V together more. And I actually recommend that you do use some pliers, but if you're good with your fingers, it'll work. Okay, now we've got the word love. You see that? Now at the end, we can finish it off however we want to. We can leave it like this, or we can get our little bamboo skewer and just kind of tighten it around so we're starting to get like a coil. You can also do this with your pliers too. And then on the end here of love, we can do the same thing. We can just kind of curl it up. Now we have the word love. Now how do you push this down on your paper? There's lots of different ways, or on your card. You can use these little curly cues right here and put brads in them. You can attach it with another wire like we did on the frames, gathering it in certain locations where they overlap, like at the L and the bottom of the O and the bottom of the V, and then maybe right here with the E. Or if you're patient, you can glue it on. This glue does work well. Hot glue works real good too. It gets it on real quick. And one of the things that when you're working with wire is, can you see how it's kind of springy and it's not laying flat? What I'll do is I will just take a hammer and just hammer this flat. Now they do have jewelry making hammers that are designed kind of with a more rounded type head so they don't damage the wire. But I actually kind of like the hammered look, so I would probably not be upset with that at all. Okay, so we spelled the word love, and I'm going to use the thicker wire, and I'm going to spell the word mom. Now, when you work with the thicker wire, like I said, it's better sometimes if you have the proper tools to do it with. However, this wire is still not that thick. It's not like an 18 gauge where you can't use your fingers, okay? So when you start writing with wire, you have to think of your letters. Like if you do a mundane, which is a small letter M, you have too much curving back on yourself. Like a mundane M, let me get paper and pencil. A mundane M, we go like this. Okay, now if you did this in wire, you would bend this and then you'd have to bend it onto itself, bend it again, bend it onto itself, and then you'd have the M. But if you do a capital M like that, it's just a series of bends and you don't have to fold it back onto itself. So when you're doing your writing like love, Love, when we did the love, we used this to curl around this way as opposed to actually having an O where it circles back on itself and comes off like this to form the V. It's just easier than trying to make all these kind of little circles in it. So when you start writing with wire, it's just easier to remember what the shape of the letter is, and it might be better to make it more of a capital letter as opposed to a mundane letter. And then how they actually would hook in cursive would be different than how you would want to do it in wire. I hope I'm making myself clear on that. So let's do the word mom. So I've got it, and I'm going to just give myself a bend with my thumb to form the top part of the M. I'm going to bend this closer together, and I'll use my fingernail to bend up, making the other part of the M, and then bend down. Okay, now you can see that we've got an M forming. Now I'm going to go make the O. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, because this is thicker wire, I'm going to use a pencil to form that coil that will become the O. And you see I've got the O. Now we also need to do some fixing on this when we're done to shape the letters up a little bit better. And then I'm going to come and I'm going to do another M like the first M as opposed to a mundane M, but I'm just going to make it a little smaller. So I'm curving it up. I'm just using my fingernails to curve this down. And then I'll push it up and line it up and curve it back down again. And then I've got the word mom, and now I'm going to cut it off. Okay, now it's kind of wonky, so we need to sharpen it up a little bit. And this is where your needle nose pliers come in handy. You can kind of pinch this together a little bit and pinch this together. Now we're kind of shaping this M up. And I got the O going. I'm going to pull that apart a little bit. And now this M for the mom, I want to kind of pinch these together. And pinch the next one here together. And then pinch it in the center. And then at the end, I can leave it like it is, or again, I could make a curly Q. And I'm just going to do that with my bamboo skewer here. Make a little curly Q. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it off. And then I'm just going to tighten up this one here. But like I say, you could leave it straight. Or you could put the little curlicue on it. And that's what I'm going to do with this. I'm just going to kind of curl that up a little bit. And you just need to play with it to get it the way you want it to look, and how spread out you want the M to be, or how close you want it to be together. And how high you want this O to be. There we go, we got Mom. I want to show you some more that I did. I did a smaller one. And here's another love that I did earlier. Can you see that okay? And then, don't forget, we have our wonderful pipe cleaners that you can also write with. Spelled Mom, and then I left the little bottom on it to form this other added dimension. But you could cut it off if you wanted to. You don't have to leave it on. And the pipe cleaners are just so easy to bend. I don't know what gauge wire they have, but pipe cleaners are made by 2 thin wires, and then they put the tinsel or whatever kind of wrapping, the fuzz or chenille in between it, and then they just twist. They put it on a machine and they just twist, 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 real tight twist. So you're working with 2 really thin wires here, which makes them real easy to bend up. Let's write U. Let's do Y. Let's make it a little smaller. Okay, and you just keep bending. Here's Y. I'm going to do O. And then we ran out of a pipe cleaner, so I'm just going to add some pipe cleaner to this, because pipe cleaners are real easy to add to. You just kind of twist them together. And then we're going to do the U. So there we have YOU. Isn't that cute? And see how easy that was to do? You can spell any word, any word. It gets kind of hard when getting really long words, but usually when we're crafting, we just do you, me, to, wow, mom, dad. But you can certainly saw how easy it was to join the pipe cleaners together and then just continue on. You can glue these down with hot glue. You can attach them with thin wire. You can make loops in them and attach them with cute little brads, like on you. If you're doing this on a Valentine's Day, you can make a little coil in the top up here and attach a one of those brad hearts in that coil up here at the top. And you could do the same thing here with the U. Cut this off and then just coil it. Let me straighten that out a little bit. And there we go. We got U. Y-O-U. How sweet is that? So you can see how easy it is to do with wire. Just like I said, you can do anything with wire that you can do with baker's twine, because you can write with baker's twine. That's a nice thing about baker's twine too. And to make it easy to write with baker's twine, is what I do is I just coat it all in a glue when I'm writing. And so that it sticks to itself, and then it'll stick onto the project that I'm working on. And like any kind of white glue, because it'll dry clear. And the same thing you can do with wire. It's so easy to work with. Well, I hope that that's inspired you, crafters. And you can see that it's just so easy to do. I don't think I have to keep on going and show you any more words. You can see what we're able to do with it. And you just might have to finagle a little bit so it'll stay down on your card. You, Mom, love. So pretty, cute little ways to dress up cards, to dress up a scrapbook project or any multimedia that you might be working on, particularly during the holidays. How cute would that to write out, like Merry or Happy or whatever in pipe cleaners, and put that on a card to bring out and jazz it up and add some bling. Well, crafters, I hope you enjoyed this segment of KISS. Keep it simple, Sylvia. And I look forward to seeing you next week, which will be the last week of the month. And we'll be doing another project with wire, and we'll have our recap at that time. Thanks you for joining me on this segment of KISS. Keep it simple, Sylvia. Bye for now.